and welcome to issue 12 of the Hobby Hammer vodcast. I'm going to say vodcast. I'm joined today by Miles from around the world, our foreign correspondent.
Yeah.
Miles David.
So it's an unusual experience teaching in Australia because when I'm talking to most people, like with child pickup, you're talking with them, but they're not really there. You know, they're thinking about what they're going to do in the evening. They're conducting shopping lists. You know, it's very surface level. But then when I mentioned that I taught in Australia, it's like there's the spark of recognition. Like, oh, did you? And then I can have a conversation. So I've been having very lively interactions with people and like genuine conversations with my son's teacher, my hairdresser, the girl who likes to make me coffee. Who likes to make me coffee? That sounds weird. No, my wife.
That's an incredibly weird thing to say. You mean the woman that you pay to make you coffee?
Yeah. Yeah, no, she
maybe enjoys that, but it's not specific to you, Miles.
Yeah,
Delusions are grander.
I think she likes me, not like that. More like we have some very zippy banter whenever she makes me coffee. It could all be like one-sided. I could be giggling like an idiot while she's trying to make coffee and get me out of there. I don't know. But there's that spark that, okay, I see you. I'm interested in you. Tell me about your experience of Australia.
And this you've learned in the how many days? Is it 2 days since you've been back from Australia?
Oh, I've been back a full day. I'm still jet lagged all to hell. That's why we're recording now in the evening.
Because I've got a beer in hand.
That's why I've got, but Brewdog Wingman. So issue 12 is sponsored by alcohol.
Yes, Moretti for me. Because it was it was on my desk from last time I had a beer while recording. So, what have we got on the menu tonight, Miles?
Well, we need a couple of drinks because we are talking Femalecustodes and the furore around that. We're also talking a little bit more in depth, so I can feel the recognition sparking behind our viewers' eyes. I'll be talking my Australian trip, what I got up to down under, and how it was definitely a work trip. It wasn't just a jolly with the boys. It was definitely a work trip. And we'll be rounding out the issue with what you've painted.
Yeah, cool. Although I don't think I've put that in the cards yet. I will do. Cool. So, shall we dive right in for everyone that's actually still around into the hot topic of the last... we missed it by a week. Entirely down to you being away. Nothing to do with me also not covering it. Femalecustodes. We were just going to, I think, mention this in passing because...
Oh, my God.
How much
I think everything
care?
I think everything that needs to be said has been said. It's a seemingly a very emotive topic, which I did not expect the kind of like level of vitriol and response. And I guess what's disappointing is the kind of responses that we're getting out there. There doesn't seem to be like a shared space for debate where you can present an argument from your point of view without being called a name or a tourist or being told to get out of the hobby. There's no shared coexistence anymore. You're either on this side or that side, team green or team black. And there's very little in the way, well, that's been my experience of reading it online at the very least, and Twitter is just a cesspool at the best of times.
This is why I'm not on Twitter. This is why I'm not on Twitter. It's
disgusting.
Yeah, and I think a key thing to just touch on what Miles has said there, what you have said, Miles, since this conversation, is you've not come down on one side or the other, and it's on both sides. Because if we're currently looking for Miles's benefit at the smiley sad face photo, if that could be like halfway in between either of those on both sides, that would be me.
Yeah.
I just couldn't care less either way, because I feel like I've not got a horse in the race.
Yeah,
other than just vitriol.
When this topic first came up, I didn't. It's like I don't have a philosophical objection to there being Femalecustodes. There's a saying that if you over-specialize, you breed in weakness. So it would make sense to have as many different points of view as you possibly can within an organization that protects their emperor. And there seems to be like a lot of misconceptions flying around the community that in order to become a Custodes, you need to become a Space Marine first. Like it's some kind of like Pokemon evolution. And there's a rather famous
this isn't
YouTuber.
even my final form.
Yeah, this isn't even my final form. And there's a famous YouTuber, the Critical Drinker, who made an entire video about this subject. But there's some really, really striking misinterpretations at the core of his arguments.
Is he a gamer though, or is he like got anything to do? Or is he just jumping on like a topic?
He is a primarily right-wing film critic who's made his bones off criticizing popular culture through the lens of gender and the culture war.
Right, but he's like, I'm going to say, like he's anti, like
he's
not anti-culture war, but he's obviously pro-culture war if that's his. He uses the word woke a lot. Like he throws out that term quite a lot. Even though he says he doesn't like the term, he uses it quite a lot in his diatribes. Right. So I don't know how far we need to actually stay on the topic. This is going to be a very fast topic. Miles has provided us with a picture to just set everyone raging of the female Custodes picture, but he doesn't look too unreasonable.
Yeah, so I don't have a philosophical problem against Custodes, but I can understand the vitriol over how it is handled because there is canonical text, and we're going to rub up against that word. We're going to bump up to that word quite a lot, canonical, and its validity. I guess you could, whichever side of the spectrum you fall on in the argument, you can argue that canon should be upheld and respected, or it should be disregarded because this is a very silly universe. So it seems to be canon is only used when it benefits you. So canonically, go ahead.
Do you know what? Much more so, you've just reignited the rage that I have been feeling this week. Do you know what really grinds my gears, Miles?
What grinds your gears?
Not this canon, but in Gotrek and Felix, I've gone back to the Gotrek and Felix books, and God, the William King era was good. There's a massive time-lapse jump in between Zombie Slayer, which was actually surprisingly good, and then Kinslayer.
Okay.
And there's just like random canon like missteps. And I care much more about that than I do about... What's the... Is it actually ever said that there are no female Custodes?
So they haven't out and out explicitly said no girls allowed, but in the language that have been used in Master of Mankind, one of the Custodes refers to his brothers and cousins. It's always male gendered.
Because cousins isn't, I suppose. If it's brothers and cousins.
That's right. That's correct. Sorry, but the language.
The war's over. It's been solved.
The war's over.
You've heard it here first.
In previous book, they've talked about modern Custodes in 40k only being drawn together from the nobility of Terran houses. So in one of the editions, it said that only Terran boys were given over, and it's explicitly said it's only Terran boys. But then in another previous edition, it's a great point of pride that the sons of royal families are submitted. It doesn't say anything about daughters being found from other places. So there's that little a disparate change between the two editions. Whereas
on the flip side, there's like they were all handcrafted by the Emperor, though, right? So
yes, so
I can sort of see that, and my instinct is to be like, oh well, if they've said it, they've said it. But then on the other hand, as well, the Emperor has handcrafted them all. So who knows? So
the way a Custodes is made, this is said repeatedly, that it's made by a process that's ill understood by the people doing it and completely illegible to anybody else. So there is no description of how a Custodes is actually manufactured, unlike a Space Marine, which goes through. I mean, we have the documentation for that. A Custodes is made by space magic, as far as we're concerned. So there is no blocking reason why you need to have a certain set of chromosomes in order to become a Custodes. Ultimately, I think what we can boil this argument down to, if we get away from the law and the history and the canon, comes down to good old free market economics. There's a famous Ask Anything thread concerning Aaron Dembski-Bowden, where I think the issue of female space marines came up. And he started talking like, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I couldn't give a rat's. Even if they did have female space marines, they would look so similar to male space marines that they'd make no difference to the model range at all. Canonically, again, we rub up against that very problematic term, canonically, only males can be turned into space marines, and this is repeated again and again and again throughout modern editions, whereas there's no such limitation for Custodes. The limitation that Aaron Dembski-Bowden wrote about was that when they were in the writers' meetings talking about the Siege of Terror, why they couldn't introduce female Custodes was simply that the models manufactured at the time had no female bodies or heads, so they were told, don't write about them. That's as far as I can see the only line from above any kind of IP department. Oh, we haven't produced models for them. Please, could you leave them out?
That's similar to the Space Marine argument, though, isn't it? In that they couldn't put loads of they couldn't justify having a female Space Marine.
There's a female Space Marine, exactly.
Well, no, there is,
exactly,
but like,
yeah.
they couldn't justify it in the list of acts having 1 in 4 or something like that they needed to do for a random.
Yeah, in RTBO1, they just simply didn't sell enough. That's the reason why we don't have female space. If female Space Marines sold, we would be against female Space Marines tomorrow. I personally wouldn't be an enjoyer of that, but I have no philosophical reason against like Custodes going in there. Let's face it, this company is so market driven that if the bottom line supports that decision, we would be seeing it. Yeah,
and we've it's a hard one to speak about without inciting people, though, right? Like especially when we get into the space.
It's a very emotive topic.
People are just very. I think the key thing of what we're both feeling on the topic is. It's just so divisive. You just don't want to put your foot in it anyway.
Don't really touch it.
I don't even mean on this
here.
cast or anything. I mean just in general, and especially with like Custodes. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, is where I'm going to come down on.
Yeah. Who cares?
Come
so
here for
there
your
are no
solidified opinions, folks. That's what.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't get used to the idea of there being any sacred cows in Games Workshop's IP, because they will change it at a drop of a hat to sell more miniatures. It's that mercantile. It's that. I mean, just look at where the IP springs from. You know, it's a collection of different ideas that they've just slammed on the tabletop to just see what happens. There's no sort of like moral backbone to this company whatsoever. They do whatever they do to sell miniatures. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's as far as their philosophical reasoning goes.
Yeah, though I have seen conspiracy theory that they're purposely trying to engineer the culture.
Oh, now this is more interesting to me. Okay, so they want to incite a culture war for more mainstream coverage?
No, not even that. Just like they have their own machinations that they purposefully want to shape the population and gamers in a certain way. Not sitting here convinced.
That's the real reason. There's a cabal.
I'd
the head of Games Workshop deciding we need to push the message onto the populace. Yeah, we need to turn all the frogs gay. Yeah, I'm into that. That's
they're a rat.
That's the theory I want.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a very long Aaron Dembski post that I've not read, that I think we've covered, right?
We surmised it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please go and read the post. It's a very well thought out, eloquent way he's put it, which we've shortened and bastardized for this segment.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like slam on his post, which like when we brought it up, because that's why I didn't read it, because I was just like, I'm not asked in reading someone else wading into it, because I've not read anything about it.
This might ignite more people in the comment section, but I'm a big fan of Aaron Dembski-Bowden. I like the seriousness in which he takes the universe, the thoughtfulness that he puts behind his own prose. Just everything he does is done with thoughtfulness at its heart. I'm a big fan of his. So I loved seeing his posts online, and I wish he'd post more online, because it was just that little ray of sunshine. I felt understood that there was some kind of sanity attached to this raging hormone monster in the IP. And he was just like this note of calm, logical, well thought out, constructed criticism in this sea of vitriol of people calling each other tourists, which unfortunately we don't have anymore. But good for him. It's better for his mental health just to stay away from this stuff and just concentrate on his family, because this isn't a battle anyone can win. You can only lose.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I'm wary of us sticking our fingers into it anymore, because there are only losers here.
Let's take our fingers out then.
Yeah. yeah. Right. Shall we get on to a more upbeat topic, and that is your trip to Australia?
My trip to Australia, yes. I went down under. It's always been a dream of mine to visit down under, because my uncle emigrated out there in the 60s.
Right.
And he was a lucky old soul, because when he was out there, he settled in Adelaide, beautiful part of the country, as far as I understand. Are you opening another beer? Oh, here we go. Opening another beer for my story. He emigrated out there, and he went on a couple of TV shows, and he won them both. So he won something like 100K in Australian dollary dues, and a car.
Nice.
Just the luckiest man. But I always grew up with a weird kind of conception of him, because he used to write down little postcards for us, and he mentioned something about thongs. So for the longest time, I just imagined this little Welsh guy in Adelaide striding around in a thong. So it's always been a little dream of mine to go out there and see my uncle like that.
In his thong, yeah.
And teach a course. I've always had this bit of a green eye monster about me when I've seen other people like MKA, Cult of Paint go out and do those kind of courses. Like, oh, I want to do one of those courses. So from a pure jealousy point of view, being able to go out there, and when you're out there, you realize just how starved those guys are over there. They have such a great community, and they are so passionate, the guys out there, and they're willing to learn. They're desperate to learn new painting techniques, engage with a wider community, and just get like a fair crack of the whip. Just have some kind of engagement from the wider heresy community that I was involved in when I was over there, but just some form of engagement. I understand it's a long way to travel, but if I was a multi-billion-pound company, I would make more of an effort to get out there and see those guys and support those guys, because they are criminally underfed. So
for longer than 2 days that you were there, was it?
For longer than 2 days that I was there, yeah. It was a bit of a flyby. Yeah, don't ask me. I went out there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Is that including flying?
That includes flying, yeah.
Right.
Mate, I'm on my knees. There's a 5-hour flight from the UK to Doha.
Right. Do you know what? Let's go over Doha.
I was hoping to tee you up. Yep. Doha, crazy place. Crazy place. You get to the airport, and as far as I understand, because I was told this in the comment section when I posted like, oh, wow, look at Doha Airport. I had a comment underneath, LOL, they ripped off Singapore. Like, okay, I've never been to Singapore. I don't know these things. Perhaps next year I'll be able to say, oh, Doha ripped off Singapore. But, I was still excited to be there. It's a new place for me. So it's a 5-hour trip over there. When you get there, they have like a little mini, how to describe it? So like a mini jungle there, like this oasis that has running water and trees and plants and birds. it's so comforting. It's so inviting. It is the complete polar opposite of Britain's airports, where you feel like you're just on your own and good luck, buddy, if you miss a flight. Just get out of my face. My shift's ending in 5 minutes. I found the level of service. I sound like a goddamn influencer now. Like move to Dubai, move to Doha, move to Qatar. But I found the entire experience being very relaxing, very accommodating. All the staff can do more for you, and the installations there are phenomenal. Like just everything is brand new, modern. And forward thinking, very much forward thinking. I mean, even like one of the main installations, it's a bear with a light over the top of it.
Is that the one that you've got the video of?
That is, yeah. So that was an art installation in America, in New York. And I think the Crown Prince of Qatar bought it for the airport because he said he wanted to give travelers a sense of comfort being there. I thought that was such a wonderful thing to. Okay,
nothing says comfort more than a giant wooden not Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, sad Mickey Mouse. So it wasn't that installation. Sorry, my fault. It's another installation that they just got so many installations there. I keep tripping over them. No, it's. I don't think I've actually have a photo that I sent over to you. It's like a massive yellow bear with a light in it.
Yeah, but we will be able to see it anyway because it's to say that you spend your entire life filming things clearly for people to paint from. You are possibly, but that was a mixture of potentially and possibly. Potentially the worst travel cameraman ever.
I tried doing the influencer thing. So I put my phone like off in the corner, set it to record, kind of like gingerly walked away, and I tried to walk across to give myself B footage, but the camera fell over, and I just felt like such a tit doing it. I'm not an influencer. I'm continually reminded whenever I put together like these little vlog things, when I try and do reels, and like my Instagram turned into like a travel log for 2 days, and it was dreadful because I don't know how to film myself in an engaging way. Okay, right. I need to undercut this with a caveat that yes, I understand Qatar has a lot of human rights issues, and I understand that this place was built on the back of slave labour.
Let's move on from Femalecustodes. How great is Dubai?
Slave labour? Yes. Okay, so just to get that in there, I do understand the moral dimension of it, but when I was there, I had a darn good time. And what was really weird as well, what really weirded me out. Gordon Ramsay has 2 restaurants there. So the Scottish restaurateur known for training up in classical French cooking has a pizza restaurant and a burger restaurant there.
Nice. Speaking of cashing in.
Yeah. So another 17-hour flight. No, sorry. It was a 13-hour flight then. 15. It was a 15-hour flight. From Doha to Sydney. That's 15 hours on a plane, on a guy my size, squished into the seat.
Miles might appear small on your screen, but what are you, 6'3"?
I'm 6'3", yeah, I'm huge. But it wasn't that bad, because I knew it was such a long flight, I didn't keep checking the time. I've had flights to America that have been a lot worse. Just in terms of, well, they felt longer. Let's just leave it at that. Flying American Air, not a fun experience. Got over there to Australia, breezed through immigration. Like it takes 2 minutes to do. I can see the sun. I haven't seen the sun in nearly a year, and it's not like our flinty, cold sun we have in our country. No, it's warm and inviting and nourishing. And I just basked for a couple of minutes like a seagull trying to dry off its wings.
What do you mean our flinty cold sun? We get loads of sun up here in Manchester. He's not even in the top 10 rainiest cities. That's how sunny we are. Like we compare it to the rain.
You can tell by your sun-kissed appearance. Absolutely.
I know. Ooh.
I spent like 20 minutes in it. So most of the time, it rained when I was out there, unbelievably. But I spent like 20 minutes in the sun and I gave myself sunburn. So I got there on the Friday. I got into the time scale quite quickly because it's the exact polar opposite of our time. And because I traveled for so long, I hadn't eaten, I hadn't really slept. I just blasted through it till Thursday evening, slept, and then I was pretty much on the rhythm. I kept after reassuring my wife that this was a work trip and I wasn't enjoying myself while I was live streaming myself from Sydney Opera House.
So you did manage to do some touristy things?
I did one touristy thing, yeah. And my host out there, Dono, if you're watching, thank you so much for transporting me hither and thither and let me use your hotspot on your phone to message and phone my wife and as she was dealing with 2 sick children by herself for the week. I was insisting this was a work trip. Yeah, and Dono helped organize everything when I was out there. So he found the venue. He sourced location, like he did all the donkey work, and then he was kind enough to pick me up at the airport and drive me around, organise everything. This course didn't happen without him. Get to the Airbnb, meet up with a couple of other guys. I'm thinking, Rager, come on, bring it on. Let's really start off the weekend right, because I know these Australians like to party. This is going to be freaking hardcore. We spend the evening. I'm watching a game of Titanicus, and we have Nigella Lawson on in the background as we tuck into a curry that will come back and haunt us for the rest of the weekend.
Why Nigella Lawson?
I've no idea. It's something that they did at the previous event where in the background they just put Nigella Lawson on, and it was great. It was great because so when you watch this, like you're 4 guys watching the show, the first couple of minutes, it's a very lusty conversation, and you are mentally doing things to her that, you know, red-blooded males do by instinct. You know, it's pattern recognition. So when a man looks at a dog, the first thing we do is look at the face, and then we look at the balls. It's just pure pattern recognition. It's pure reflex on our part. And we were doing exactly the same thing. Our minds were watching Nigella Lawson. We had that instant reaction to it. But after that, after a couple of minutes of that, you know, ribald jestery, you start noticing her cooking. And then you start criticizing it because she's not, I mean, she doesn't look like a great chef. And that was the most fun part of the evening. It was just watching Nigella bumble her way through recipes, and I was criticizing it for a couple of hours. So that was the first night's partying.
Yeah.
Nigella Lawson masterclass. Okay, we got to day 1 of the course. So going out there, pitching the idea of a course was a little bit difficult because they already know how to airbrush. They already know how to do basic stuff like that. So there's no point running like an introduction to army painting. So I wanted to concentrate on brushwork, characters. What elements do you need to create to draw attention and bring greater focus and intensity to your work when it comes to characters? How do you make your characters look good? That was the basis of the course. I knew that we wouldn't be able to paint something from start to finish, so instead I broke it up into segments because I didn't exactly know the level of craftsmanship these guys had when it came, or familiarity using a brush, how much they knew about color theory. So we had to get through like a lot of groundwork with them on day 1. So the basic mechanics of the brushwork, dilution, how to make up your own mixture, how to make up your own gunk, what ratio of water to thinning medium to a satin medium and other X ingredients that you put in this stuff to, and what properties you get out of using it. And then the mechanical movement of the brush, how to load, even things like just loading the brush up, removing moisture, then applying onto the miniature. The real bare basics of this. But thankfully, the class just flew through in the morning, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. Then we go into a color theory segment, talking about hue, saturation, value, talking about how we can break up color across a miniature. So a classic example I give is Word Bearers and Blood Angels. They both use red, gold, and black accents, but why does one look good and one does one look bad? Why does one recognizably look like a good guy and one look like a bad guy?
Let me just pull up some pictures of Blood Angels and Wordbearer.
Can I have up on screen
Yeah.
a Blood Angel and a Wordbearer? And throughout talk of colour theory, we should be able to decide, okay, so they both have red and gold with black accents. Why does one look dark and sinister and evil and the other bright and angelic and heroic? So we talk a little bit about how we can determine this through colour theory and how we can take what we learn from there and then plug it into other different situations. So how many times have you painted a character and you don't know which colour to use and where, how saturated it should be, how dark, how light it should be, where it should even be put, whether it's the right thing to do. So we talk a little bit about that, about framing in miniature, and then we talk about how to start mixing colour on your palette. We start very simply, just mixing together grey, white, and a colour. And then we start doing things like creating bone tones, leathers, and mint. And then from there, we evolve it again into the thumb exercise. And this is where you become a paint wizard.
Is this where the thumb comes out?
This is where the thumb comes out, yes, because the exercise is knowing your superior knowledge of the colour wheel now. You mix up colours on your palette and you match against your skin tone completely. The paint should be able to completely vanish when you put it on there. And that's when you get a reward. That's where you get a very exclusive sticker, little legend sticker. You are now a paint wizard for doing that. So that was day one. I did feel like I clubbed the students over the head with a lot of theory. And my host had one too many whiskey sours in the evening. And that curry really came back to haunt us. Like, how to describe Australian pubs? I guess it's like a reflection of the national atmosphere. Because when I was out there, I asked Dono, okay, I'm here in the new country. How do I experience the culture? What should I eat? What snacks should I have? What should we see? I think I looked off into the distance and shrugged and said, well, I don't really know. You can eat an Anzac biscuit. So that's kind of like a oat biscuit that's slightly more crumbly. Like, yeah, okay, that was nice enough.
It's slightly more crumbly.
Yeah.
There's not even substantially more crumbly.
Just slightly. And then, okay, what else should I do? You could drink a VB. I mean, you're going to drink the first couple of sips and you're not going to want any more after that. Like, okay, cool. I could drink a VB, sure. Then we started talking about Australian culture in general and what it is and why the people are just so laid back. The weather's gorgeous for one, so why worry about anything in that kind of environment? It really is God's country. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous country, even the few portions that I did manage to visit. In layout, it's very similar to Britain. It's such an uncanny feeling. I didn't feel out of place. I mean, I've traveled places in the world where the architecture and the people, you just get culture shock. And you feel like a stranger in a strange land. Not here. This is the furthest I've traveled away from home, but it felt like I was coming home. I was coming to a very familiar place with the people, not so much the weather, the architecture, that kind of thing. And his girlfriend had a great description of Australian culture. It's vibe surfing. That's what Australians are, surfing the vibe. Get up in the morning, feeling a bit hungover. Okay, let's go get a little bit of breakfast. Maybe get a couple of bevies later on. It's going with the flow. It's being relaxed enough to enjoy the experience of life. You're not anxious about what tomorrow is going to bring. You're not hyped up with what you need to do next or how you need to advance your career or give yourself a goddamn aneurysm by the time you're 40, worrying about things that are simply beyond your control. No, just relax with a few mates and enjoy some Nigella Lawson. And that's Australian culture, vibe surfing. And I loved it.
I'm surprised you came back describing it like that.
That I enjoyed it, or?
No, that you came back.
Oh, that I came back full stop.
Yeah.
Okay, when I left, I don't often do this because I go for work. And despite the jokes, I'm very tense when I go to these kind of things because people pay a lot of money to attend these courses. I'm very conscious of that fact. I need to deliver a good course that's value for money, and they understand what the hell it is I'm talking. And they need to take these skills and practically transfer them across everything else they do in their life. I'm very conscious to make sure that the course is as tight as it can be, that the materials are there, that's supported with a PDF, that at all points I'm supporting the students in their learning outcomes. So I'm quite tense doing this. And when I come back home, I'm often quite happy to come back home because I'm just emotionally drained and physically exhausted. Like, it's a lot to take in for a weekend. But I was standing outside Sydney Airport and I had like a little frog in my throat because I didn't want to leave because I was there with the sun. So when I say this course was good, I'm not just pandering to the crowd here. All courses have their own kind of atmosphere. All courses have their own tenor. This course just felt like a nice back and forth with the students. That, when I ask a question, sometimes you get that little bit of hesitancy from a class, and it sounds like a classroom. And nobody speaks. No, the conversation was zippy. It was pithy. Everyone's talking with them. I mean, a part of these courses that goes a little unsung. You need to leave a little bit of, perhaps I shouldn't say this, because it's the way I construct courses. You need to leave a little bit of negative space in the courses to allow people to just talk to each other, to enjoy the experience, to talk through what they're learning, and just catch up with each other.
Oh, and so events, by negative space, you don't mean like something shit or leaving it out. You mean just like allow people that downtime. Yes. Because I heard negative space and I was like, what are you like calling him cunt?
No, sorry. No. So you single out one student who's actually quite good and you drive him into the ground. You drive all emotion. You do a Jose Mourinho on him. You pick someone popular and you drive him out. And then the rest of the course fears you and they cohere behind you. No. It's leaving space for people to talk to each other in the course. It just felt like I fell in step with a group of friends I'd known all my life. And that's a very rare experience to get on a class-wide scale. I mean, we're already talking about doing the course next year because I will definitely 100% be going back. But this time I want to do a few courses. So I want to do one in Singapore. I want to do one in Sydney, Melbourne, and maybe so if you are an event organizer over there and you would like a Legend hosted class, please get in touch. We are looking for venues currently. But instead of going out for one weekend and torturing myself going over there and coming back, we'll do a couple of dates instead. Day two.
Singapore. Are you in contact with Lex Head?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, right, okay.
Apparently, there's burgeoning community of painters out there. He's floated the idea to people. There's interest. Whether the interest translates, because there's interest everywhere, right? But whether it translates into anything, let's see. We'll try and organise something, and we'll try and do it. You got to be open to these experiences in life, otherwise you wouldn't do anything. So day two rolls around. People a little bit more worse for the wear. Nigella took a heavy toll on us the night before. And then we were continuing painting heads. So the models that I used for this course come from Bolter Juggernaut, and they're free to download currently. And what I did was took one of his heads and enlarged it. Because when you're learning, especially learning how to paint complex faces, faces that go a little bit beyond baseline infantry, when you're learning about the color charts, shape, movement, volume, how to move your brush to create scars, how to create the texture of your skin, all that good stuff. Doing it on a slightly larger surface benefits you before you take a regular head and reduce it down. So that was the course. We took larger head.
Sorry, is that the middle image in the three-head image that we're looking at, and then the smaller heads either side?
Exactly.
Right, cool.
So the larger head gives you an idea of placement and the kind of textures you can produce in skin tones. But there's no point learning how to do that solely on that head, on a bigger head, without knowing how to reduce it down. So you practice on the big head, and we had a load of heads printed out, so if a couple of students might have messed it up, just grab another head, try it again. And we had multiple heads out there for students that when they got bored, or if they managed to do the exercise and then they were kind of like looking around for things to do. Well, there were multiple heads there with multiple recipes. You try Caucasian skin, try black skin. Try Asian skin. try every skin in the rainbow. We give sample recipes for that for students to practice in between. And by the time that was finished with, a little bit fried at this point, and that's when I decided to drop the heavy stuff, how to paint flame swords and how to do marble with hand to create either lightning strikes or marble effect on your power swords. So when you look at your characters, what elements stand out to you? It's normally heads. Heads are a big thing, so faces that we developed in depth. Things like gemstones, furs, swords. Swords are a huge thing to concentrate on. So I showed people using the brush alone how to develop a power weapon, flame sword, and marble. And with all those elements combined, you can whack them on your characters. You can whack them, I mean, pretty much anything across the entirety of Force. Like good, solid brushwork can take you across your entire range of miniature painting. Color theory, you can apply that to anything. The specifics of where light placement occurs on the head, that can be used on most ranges. And then the swords can be used on lots of different elements. So that was the course. Pleased to say, all of the students flew through it. And we even had time at the end to give some one-on-one feedback to the students as well, taking their own characters, suggesting edits, what they could take on next.
Oh, nice.
That was the course. That was my Australian experience. We went for a very nice meal then in the evening. The next day, Dono promised to take me to the beach. God, what the hell is it called? Bali Beach. It's one of the most famous beaches in the world. Bondi Beach. Bondi Beach. Bondi. So I went there, picked up a load of like souvenir crap for the family, bought a couple of boomerangs for everyone, and a pornographic T-shirt for my mother-in-law. I still haven't given it to her yet. I'm looking forward to her reaction there. And then he dumped me off at the
Airport?
Airport, yeah, sorry. I'm still severely jet lagged. Still really jet lagged. I'm surprised I managed to get this. So that was my cultural experience, my cultural exchange.
Now, I've got one question, Miles.
Uh-huh.
You dumped this picture of a couple or a pair of people in the airport into the pack.
This man's my hero right here.
Come on, why is this picture in the pack?
I sat behind them from the flight from London to Doha, and that man, that legend, very obviously looking Australian, right? You look at him, he's definitely Australian.
Yeah, but he's got the mullet going on, yeah.
He's got the mullet, he's got the look. Does he have a sleeveless top, or am I misremembering
No,
that?
he's got a T-shirt on, but he's
got a T-shirt on. Okay, so in my mind, he's got like a sleeveless top on with... anyway. So this man, when asked, what do you want to drink, sir? Beer, please. Whenever an air hostess would go by, excuse me, can I have another beer? Great. I like it. My ears pick up. And I hear him say this a couple of times. After a while, like, what's happening here? What's occurring here? It's a 5-hour flight. The man downs 8 beers. Not tremendous amount, but you got to bear in mind, like, these people are working, they're coming back and forth, they're giving people food, they're making sure kids are okay. He managed to get 8 beers, downs them, bang, 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 over a 5-hour period. I just love the fact he was able to nail that, all those beers, 8 beers on a 5-hour flight to a dry country. That man is my hero.
Well, because he knew he wouldn't be able to get any in the airport.
Yeah, because I knew he was Australian and he was doing it for the culture. He was doing it for the vibes. Yeah.
Nice.
I did want to see how much he drunk on the way from Doha to Australia, but I was sat slightly in front of him. I'd like to think
Shame.
He kept up the pace and maybe down like 32 by the time he got to Australia.
Want to beat the record? Or...
Just because he was thirsty. I don't think breaking the record's important to him. Not at all. That's the kind of man civilizations are built on. Men like that built the pyramids. Men like that would come round and do your drywall and charge you mates rates for it on a bank holiday.
Where do we go from there, Miles?
I would trust that man to walk my dog. Yeah.
You clearly have a much higher bar in your dog walkers than me.
It's how I judge politicians. Like, would I leave my dog with them for a weekend, or would I let them take my dog for a walk? Boris Johnson, absolutely goddamn not. Donald Trump, no way. Biden, no. Rishi Sunak, no. That man on the plane, absolutely. I give him the keys to my house, and I tell him, look, and my dog would be well cared and well fed for. Yes, that's the kind of man I want to vote for.
Well, I'm thinking, like, would I trust my MP with a dog? And he's Angela Rayner, by the way. No, I would not.
No. They'd be too self-involved. They'd forget to feed it. They'd forget to walk it.
We need an everyman.
Rishi Sunak, I don't think he'd know how to, like, physically how to walk it. Have you seen him try to hit a nail?
Use a
hammer?
Have you seen him try to use a card?
No, I
He
haven't.
just doesn't know how to use a credit card. Like, you see, like how can you do that? Like, is this
sure,
how money works?
I'm sure he has, like, a very hyper-specialised skill set as a politician, but I can't trust a man when he's hammering a nail to turn it on its head and using the flat head of the hammer and just very limply dab it.
Do you think whoever gave him the hammer, like whichever aide that gave him the hammer, do you think they knew that he didn't know how to do it and thought it'd be funny? Or do you
that'd be
think...
some, like, next level sabotage, because how would they know that information? It's not like I can imagine.
Because he's just
like,
so incompetent, or they've, like, asked him to. So, like, one of the things that I've always gone by, because a wise man that probably could have downed 18 beers in a 15-hour flight once said to me is, he basically just asked, like, do you know how to put up a shelf? And I was and at that point I didn't know how to put up a shelf. And Rishi Sunak, I don't think knows how to put up a shelf. And it's just it's a good bar of how you judge people. Yeah. Because it's a very simple thing to do. Anyone at home, if you've never done it, I'm sure you'd be able to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube videos are very, very. So my father showed me how to do it. Very, very exceedingly. I say exceedingly simple. When I bought my house, I drilled through drywall into the mains, and it shorted out the entire house.
That happens a lot.
But still, I knew how to use the drill to bang it into the wall.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, these are the two tests of merits. All right. You know how to put up a shelf, and you are trustworthy enough to look after my dog for a weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would trust you with my dog for a weekend, Max.
You'd be wrong. I'd pass the shelf test. You dog.
I'd still be trusting enough to leave you with my dog, though. That's.
Oh, that's the bar. It's not whether it would actually turn out well in the end. It's whether you trust me with the dog.
Whether I trust you to do it. Yeah. That's the bar.
Right. Okay. Okay. So on that slightly confusing bar, let's get on to the next segment. So I have been working, as a swift aside, on my Bretonians. After saying I wouldn't do the slow grow this month, I've painted 10 Iron Drakes, my dwarf characters, including Anvil, and then I've started on some Peg Knights, of which I've just started doing the blending of the wings, which I've been looking at pictures of hawks and kestrels, but kestrels are very complicated, like the wings. It
works. Are we we're recording this now, aren't we?
Yeah, this is recording.
Yeah, good. Okay, yes. No, it's a very relaxed segment. Normally you put your phone voice on, but no, this is a nice relaxed. Yes, I would recommend, instead of going up to straight white in those highlights, mix just a pinch of yellow. I just think it needs like a pinch of more softer colour in there. Yeah, just ever so, because the brown is already quite dark, and then you have the white that's very harsh tonally. Yeah. So just having that slight hint of yellow, I think.
Yeah, so there's actually no white in there at all. That's ivory. I don't know whether it's It looks very white in picture, and I think it might be the difference in contrast that you're sort of getting at. And like 'cause it does look very white in the flesh, in the model.
Yes,
But
in the wing.
yeah, where, but yeah, there's no actual pure white in there. It's from black
Ivory.
to
Sure.
ivory. Yeah, but yeah, I was quite happy with it, and then.
No, it looks great. It's a very minor criticism.
No,
of it.
that's part of the help of it is getting criticism, and that
Getting
helping-
flamed.
Yeah, getting critiqued on the internet.
Yeah, always a fun experience.
Yeah, so then I've been trying to work out some like regalia and barding patterns for the heraldry, but yeah, that's what I've been up to in your absence. Getting some painting done when I said that I wouldn't, because I am only slightly more prepared for the event that I'm running next weekend than I was 2 weeks ago.
What needs to be done? What's outstanding? What do you need to do in this week to get prepared for it?
Well, the fear hasn't hit yet. It's slightly it's coming about. I thought even before the fear, I should start doing something. So I've been gluing together zombies. Anvil Industries has sponsored the event, so I've been gluing together zombies. I thought I'd get them all done in a night. That was 190 zombies, but I got 120 glued together in 2 nights. So I need to do those and paint them for next week. And also 18 pieces of like 18 by 15 or something like that terrain for some nuclear fallout shelters that are going to be ruined because in the last event the players chose to launch nukes and nuke the planet, so it's now like an irradiated like Talan like wasteland. So for them to operate we need some shelters. So it's going to be, here's the rundown of the event, Miles. Out of the shelters, anything that isn't like rad hardened, like Automata or Thalax, Sekitari, are just going to die. If it's not a tank, bam, after a turn, done. So you've got to get into the shelters to pick up like the supplies to scavenge. So I need to make all of these shelters where infantry won't die. And there needs to be a good like floor area or table space of that to give infantry something valid to do. So yeah, we've got a week. It's more than enough time. And then the zombies are there as like, do you know The Simpsons where the bombs go off onto like Y2K?
Yeah.
And then you've got all the Simpsons zombies. We're going to have all the population zombies that are just like walking about the wasteland.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my god! Yeah, I got a bit of a thing for zombies. Like, I'd love to run a zombie horde. Like, I've been wanting to paint a zombie horde for like Necromunda campaigns for years. Just something very romantic about a bunch of brainless people shambling towards you. Now, are you in the camp where they say brains or they just moan intelligibly?
Intelligibly or unintelligibly?
Unintelligibly.
Right, because they're not like, so not like that rules out like
yeah.
What is it, Day of the Dead or Night of the Dead, where they start learning to use
running
weapons?
at you.
No,
Yes.
I'm in the camp of like the campist zombies where they're like, ooh,
yeah, thriller zombies.
Yeah, like really sort of like ham zombies.
Is it Day of the Living Dead where they they're in like a storage warehouse and the guy's bragging to his new assistant like this is from the military, and the thing, and they can't die when they open it, like it sprays them in the face and they become zombies.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember that one.
Love that. Whatever that film is, I absolutely love that film. I think. Well, I say I love the film. I can't even remember the title of it.
But what I'm going to do is have a marathon of zombie movies over the next week to get me in the right frame of mind. So if anyone knows any zombie movies I should be watching, stick them in the comments because I'll be watching them in next week.
Stop talking about your Custodes thesis. We don't give a shit. Give us zombie recommendations.
Yeah, so he's like Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead is obvious. Like Night of the Living Dead. Like All of the
I wanna be-
recommendations, please, below, because I like see it's
Yeah.
stuff like 28 Days Later and stuff like the more modern ones that I've not massively watched. 80s sort of horror stuff.
Return of the Living Dead. That's it. The Return of the Living Dead. Definitely got to watch that. It's not exactly a zombie film, but I can recommend a film called Pontypool. It's based on a radio play, and I found that exceptional. Now, it's very hit and miss. It's like Marmite. Some people love it, some people won't, because the core premise is very compelling. Hell, if you're doing a marathon, chuck it into the rotation. See what? Oh, did you watch that film I recommended to you, Barbarian, by any chance?
I didn't. I can
So for
count
our viewers,
on zero fingers how much free time I've had in the last week.
So for our viewers, we've been pitching ideas at the beginning of the episode, apropos of nothing, just doing like a little mini movie review. And my recommendation to Max was Barbarian. Don't tell him anything about this. If you see him in the street, in the comments below, don't tell him anything about it, because I went into this dry. He should too.
Yeah, maybe just whether or not it's a good film and remind me to watch it. No, just good film or not. Just good film or not.
Right. Yeah, good. Yeah, watch Barbarian. It doesn't really fit in with your zombie recommend. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, watch the film. Watch the film. It's a good film.
What I recommended to you.
No, I can't remember either. It couldn't have been that good.
What a slamming critique of my taste there.
Because we all have friends. We were talking about this again. We all have friends who recommend something, and you go, "Yeah, I'm going to watch that." And you know, based off previous experience, I'm never going to watch that. In fact, you make a little mental bookmark. I'm not going to watch this because you recommended it.
Yeah. So this is where it came up.
This is a gauge. This is a big trust exercise here. If I recommend this film to you, Barbarian, and you enjoy it, I know I'm in the club. If you don't enjoy it, I can't recommend anything else to you from now on. And if
is that the film that you want to go with then? If this is the
yes, I'm willing to put my money in that particular purse.
See this? I'm getting out a pen to write that down. And I'm going to write down Barbarian, and I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Barbarian. This is the gauge. So this will tell you whether my opinion could be trusted, aligning with your own tastes, or whether I'm going to be mentally bookmarked in the future.
And for everyone at home, you can know whether or not to trust the reviews
you can do the same.
will maybe be coming up on other episodes.
Yeah.
So, with that,
should we round out?
Yeah, I think before we ramble into non-existence,
we've got a really nice message. I just wanted to read this out. I wanted to round out the message with this. So I got a message on Discord. Not going to mention the member, but he mentioned something along the lines of, also wanted to say your evangelism for actually painting you miniatures over the Hobby Hammer podcast really got me out of a huge hobby slump. So that's a really nice message to begin with. And we had a little bit of a back and forth. And that, a big part of it for me was the emphasis you had on underpainting. And this is one of those techniques that keep cropping up again and again and again. And underpainting is one of those techniques that we explore in the Patreon series, where you try and see the scene beyond the miniature, and you paint those ambient tones onto the miniature before you start detailing it. I have a horrible perfectionism issue, which everyone does in our community, and shaky hands, which the heavy metal style painting means progressively neater highlights have a tendency to turn into car oil spill, into rage quitting painting for an indeterminate amount of time. None of us are getting younger. So now I'm trying things like non-metallic metal, having more fun experimenting with different brush techniques, shapes, color compositions. Also takes the perfectionism and turns on its head into a quest for continuous refinement. It's been great, honestly, so I wanted to say thanks. I just thought that was such a nice message surrounding the show and what we've been doing here. I just wanted to blow a bit of smoke up our collective skirts and say, well done, us. And if you've had similar experiences, please let us know. It's really nice reading those messages. Leave it in the comments below. And hell, if you're feeling particularly generous, send the link around, recommend us to other people, and help this little thing that we do and grow. Why not?
Yeah, well, it's important to say, I think, as well, for everyone watching, thank you for watching, because it's it makes it worthwhile doing. Do you know, like we could be sat
it's
here
fun just
and
chatting with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun chatting between us, but then getting this kind of comment, it's kind of like validation that, this shouldn't just be a private conversation between me and you. No, there's value in it being a public thing out there. So please recommend
even if some episodes are mainly based on Nigella Lawson talking about Doha Airport.
So share the episodes, recommend us to friends, do it for Nigella.
And we'll catch you next time. In a bit.